下面有请新兰州汽车制造协会会长蒙多亚 Ortega 先生介绍新兰州汽车行业的情况。Al siguiente gerente general del Cluster de Automotriz, señor Manuel Montoya Ortega, va a introducir las situaciones de la industria de automotriz en Nuevo León.
Thank you very much.
谢谢大家。
Well, just a quick view of what is happening with the auto industry in North America.
那么，所以我简介介绍一下我们的情况。
Now you are more or less used to the Mexican geography.
那么现在大家对墨西哥的地理位置已经非常熟悉了。
If you see what is the light vehicle industry in Mexico,
这是我们墨西哥轻型车的一个产业分布。
these are all the light vehicle OEMs that are established in Mexico.
这是所有的轻型车品牌行业建立在我们墨西哥的一个位置和图片。
There are mainly three regions.
那么主要是聚集在这些领域。
The center of Mexico has the oldest OEM plants in the country.
那么在墨西哥中部这个区域，主要是有汽油方面的一个公司的集聚地。
They were established in the 50s and 60s of the last century.
那么他把他们这个地方作为他们的一个建立产业的地方。
Then in the north part of Mexico, in these states, the auto industry was established in the 90s with the NAFTA treatment.
那么大家看到在北部这些公司把他们建立那边是因为有我们的北美自贸协定。
And the newest region is what we call the Bajío region.
那么大家再看到这个是另一个区域。
That was the one that was grown after the 2009 crisis.
那么这个区域也是经历了09年的经济危机。
And if you go to the commercial vehicle industry, you see that the plants are all in the states that are in the center of our geography.
那么大家看到这些商业车的公司主要坐落在墨西哥的中部。
The OEMs, the commercial vehicle OEMs, will produce the trucks and buses, and they go rolling to the U.S.
那么很多汽车行业的公司都是在这个区域进行制造，然后把零部件销售往美国方向。
So if we see the production and exports of the light vehicle industry in Mexico, you see that the production today is close to 3.5 million vehicles per year.
那么如果看一下我们轻型车的制造量，在这里最高已经达到了350万辆每年。
And it's very dependent on the exports that goes mainly to the U.S.
那么这主要是取决于我们的出口量。
Out of the 3.5 million that we produce, more or less 2.7 goes to the exports that are mainly to the U.S. market.
那么在我们350万辆的年制造中，大约270万是出口到美国。
So, what happened in these last 20 years in Mexico? From 1994 to 2015, the production of vehicles had grown from 15 million vehicles to almost 18 million vehicles in the NAFTA region.
那么大家能看到，在94年到15年，我们北美自贸区的车辆生产增长了4.5%，那么从1568万车增长到了1795万辆车。
The U.S. has produced 12 million in 1994 and in 2015 more or less the same.
那么大家看到94年美国达到产量占78%，现在跌到67%。
Canada is more or less the same.
那么加拿大也有所减少。
But the growth had happened in Mexico, from 1 million to 3.5 million.
所以墨西哥是增长的，从100万辆车增长到了350万辆车左右。
What do we expect for the next years?
那么未来我们的期待是如何呢？
The US and Canada will remain more or less the same.
我们认为美国和加拿大仍然会保持相对的量，
But we are expecting a growth in Mexico, and we are going to produce more or less 5 million cars per year.
我们预测2020年我们会生产500万辆车，在墨西哥的情况。
We haven't grown as fast as China, but you can see that the production in Mexico today will be more or less important for you.
虽然我们在发展情况中没有中国那么快，但是在制造行业，墨西哥发展的非常的快。
And if we talk about commercial vehicles, it's also important because the production in Mexico has grown in the last years to more or less 170,000 heavy vehicles per year.
那么大家能看到，这是一个营车、商业车的一个制造，在过去十年中，我们的商业车增长得非常的快。
It's more or less 3 times from the year 2010 to today.
那么如果把09年和2014年比的话，增长了3倍。
Where is the production of components for vehicles in Mexico?
这是我们汽配方面的情况。
You see that the main states that produces parts in Mexico are Coahuila, Chihuahua, and Nuevo Leon.
那么主要生产汽配的是 Coahuila、Chihuahua 和新莱昂州。
And if we put together Coahuila and Nuevo Leon, that are states that are together, there is almost 30% of the production are in our region.
那么，所以如果我们把整一个 Coahuila、Chihuahua 和我们新莱昂州整个制造的加起来，已经达到了1半。
In summary, it's important because Mexico will produce 5 million light vehicles in 2020.
那么重要的是，我们要强调，在2020年，墨西哥会生产500辆轻型车。
Today we are leaders in NAFTA zone in the production of heavy vehicles.
那么在重型车的生产中，墨西哥已经是北美自贸区的领导者。
The value of the production of the auto parts will be $100 billion by 2020.
我们预计汽配生产的价值会达到1000亿美元。
And Mexico will represent the 27% of the production of North America.
那么在北美，墨西哥会代表生产27%的汽配。
So what's happening in the NAFTA zone?
那么在北美自贸区发生了什么情况呢？
Because you have heard about the President Trump is complaining about Mexico, that Mexico is not so fair with it.
那么有时候大家会听到一些抱怨，说墨西哥其实不是特别的公平。
The main business that Mexico has in the auto industry is the production of components.
那么其实，在墨西哥，我们主要的商业其中一个就是汽配。
What do we export to the US? $60 billion of components of auto parts.
那么我们每年出口到美国的汽配的产量达到6000万美元。
39 billion of vehicles, of cars.
那么这个数量我们的汽车的生产价值是轻型车达到了
And 8 billion of commercial vehicles.
那么刚才轻型车的价值是达到了390亿美元。
So what do we import from the US?
那么这张图显示了我们从美国的进口。
20 billion of auto parts.
那么2000万的汽配。
3 billion of cars.
那么 万的车，
and a very small amount of heavy vehicles.
那么重型车的量是非常小的。
So, what is really happening in the regions in the core?
那么整个区域的发生情况，我介绍一下。
Each one of the regions has some countries that have better costs that give competitiveness to the whole region.
那么大家看到3个区域，每个区域总有一个国家能够提供很好的一个价值成本和竞争力。
Mexico is important for the US because we have better costs that gives competitiveness to the whole region, Canada, the US and Mexico.
那么墨西哥很重要，是因为我们对美国很重要。我们不光在成本上有竞争力，对于加拿大其实也是如此。
If you look to Europe, Europe has the East Europe and Turkey that gives them competitiveness to the whole region.
那么看到欧盟的情况，土耳其是他们主要的一个提供者。
And in Asia happens something similar with the Japan and Korea, having the Thailand and Malaysia giving them competitiveness because of their costs.
那么对亚洲来说，马来西亚提供了竞争优势，主要提供给日本和韩国。
So we are competing by regions.
所以我们是在区域中的一个竞争。
So in the US, what is happening, that the destination of the Mexican auto parts production are the US plants.
所以对于墨西哥的汽配生产，最重要的国家是美国。
The production of the auto parts in Mexico goes mainly to the US and to the OEM plants that are in the US.
那么我们的汽配主要是进入美国的加工公司。
So we are very dependent of their market, but they are also very dependent of our production.
所以我们是非常依赖于美国的经济，美国也非常依赖于我们的生产。
What's the market share of the auto parts imports in the US?
这是关于美国进口汽配的在其他国家中的一个分布。
28% of the components that are used in the cars produced in the US comes from Mexico.
所以在美国生产出来的车，他们的汽配28%是来自于墨西哥。
But if we put together Mexico and Canada, we see that 37% of the components that are used in the cars in the US comes from the NAFTA region.
所以如果把墨西哥和加拿大的比例加起来，那么我们的北美自贸区生产了37%的美国汽配。
But you see that China is important because 70% of the parts that are used in the US comes from this country.
中国也很重要，占了17%。
But what kind of components are produced in Mexico?
这是墨西哥生产的汽配的一个分布图。
You see that there's a lot of components that are very labor intense. More or less 50% are labor intense, like harnesses, seats, airbags, etc.
那几乎一半的汽配是劳动密集型的，包括线束、电线、车座、安全气带、音像系统。
These components are very expensive to produce in the US.
那么这些汽配在美国本地生产是非常贵的。
But at the same time, you see that there's also a good quantity of components that are 50% in terms of capital and 50% in terms of labor force.
还有40%的汽配是对于资金和劳动力都是非常密集的。
So somehow Mexico is important not just because of the labor cost, but because of the competitiveness of the whole ways of production.
那么墨西哥在劳动力成本上有优势，在生产的竞争力上也有很大的优势。
So the United States haven't lost production of automobiles because of the growth of Mexico.
那美 国没有因为墨西哥的增长而失去了汽车的一个生产。
So what had happened is that the growth of the region had came to Mexico.
绿色线是墨西哥的一个增长，
And the investments had continued in the US.
美国的主导地位还是在的。
You'll see that 72% of the whole investments done in the NAFTA zone has been done in the US itself.
那在北美自贸区，对于汽车投资72%去了美国。
What is the main problem between the US and Mexico? Is the difference of the labor costs.
劳动力成本是美国和墨西哥的一个重大区别。
Well, if you produce in the US, you will have to pay $27 per hour in the oil plants and $19 per hour in the auto parts plants.
所以在汽配方面的生产，如果美国生产的话是工人每个小时$27，墨西哥只要$19。
While in Mexico you have to pay $5 in the oil plants and $2.47 in the auto parts plant.
所以在我们墨西哥会低得非常多。如果是汽车的话是$5.64。
This is the reason why the new plants and new investments are coming to Mexico and not to the US.
所以这也是为什么如此多的企业会来到墨西哥进行汽配的一个和汽车的生产。
So what the American government is trying to do is trying to promote certain measurements to reduce the risk that they are having with Mexico.
那美国也在重新注重包括审核一些和墨西哥的发展。
This is something that they are studying and trying to promote.
这是美国希望能促进的领域。
Is to put a tax in the border that will reduce the competitiveness of Mexico and will give more competitiveness to whatever is produced in the US.
所以这也是美国在做的，希望压制一些墨西哥的竞争力，能够把一些竞争力带回到美国。
So the main fiscal adjustment, what they are trying to do is to give an advantage to whoever produces in the US.
所以美国会给无论只要你在美国生产，就会给你一个税收优惠、财政上的优惠。
So the negotiation that today we are having between the three countries of North America in the NAFTA treatment is not so as important as this fiscal adjustment tax that some people, especially President Trump, are trying to promote.
所以在我们考虑在北美自贸区，包括在美国、墨西哥投资的时候，要把 Trump 总统的一些政策考虑进去。
But at the end, what we are thinking that this will not go through because the World Trade Organization will not admit this.
那么我们觉得可能性还是不确定的。
So, sorry for this, but if you have any question, please raise your hand, or we can talk later on if you want.
大家有问题吗？现在可以提问，待会儿讨论也可以。
Thank you very much.
谢谢大家。